We've got a fantastic session lined up for you today with a wonderful panel of guests joining us. We have Derek O'Connick, who's the HRS Workday team lead for Western Alliance Bank. And we've got Katie Quinn, one of our product technical consultants and team leaders here at Kainos. A real treat for you as combined Derek and Katie have a wonderful 11 years of Workday experience to share with you all shortly.
I have currently been with Western Alliance Bank for 9 months. Currently going on 17 years within HR, and I've been working within the Workday ecosystem for the past 6 years for various organizations of which I've worked for. It's gone very quickly. It's hard to believe how long I've been doing this within Workday, and this will be my 12th preview Workday window, which is very hard to believe that I'm down to number 12. I'll call it lucky number 12.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Quinn and I've been working at Kainos for 5 years now, and this will be my 10th preview window coming up. I started as a service representative in Smart Test, which involves running, reporting and building test packs for many customers. And now I have the privilege in my role as technical consultant, providing training, guidance and support, both internally across all the teams and also externally with our customers across the Smart product suite. And importantly, Ian, alongside all of the teams, I help our clients successfully navigate through the preview windows.
Thank you, Katie. Derek, I think you're back with us, which is perfect timing, because I was wondering if we could provide a little bit of an overview of Western Alliance Bank for everyone on the call today.
No, sure, not a problem, Ian. With Western Alliance Bank, it is one of the US's top performing bank companies through our primary subsidiary of Western Alliance Bank. The differentiator here with the industry is how we put our customers first, to deliver a full spectrum of tailored banking solutions, outstanding service delivered within, our industry experts. As you can see with this visualization, the bank was founded in 1994. We've gone, through some significant growth, most of it organically. And now we actually have a total over $68 billion in assets. And our team is made up within the bank of 3,400 wonderful employees, across the, continental lower 48 of the United States. And of course, just a couple of little things in here. Our good old Workday number is 2755. And we have actually been into the Workday ecosphere from a bank perspective since October of 2019.
Brilliant, thank you for that, Derek. And what about your Workday journey itself? How has that been for the bank?
Well, for the bank, when they went live in October of 2019, they went all in. Everything from HCM, advanced comp, benefits, recruiting, payroll, everything was deployed. I think the only thing they didn't deploy was the finance module. But, we aren't stopping. We're continuing to add on new modules. We just recently, this past year, added on journeys, which is going really well. And we're getting ready to roll out the new Workday Help or Workday Case Management here soon.
Fully committed there, Derek, which is great to hear. And as you mentioned earlier, this is your 12th preview window. Just a little reminder there for yourself. So you've gained an immense amount of experience over the years. Shall we jump in, illustrate to everyone, just how about you go tackling your project planning and your testing throughout the window? Sure,
be more than happy to, Ian. So when I came to the bank, I brought to the bank a new project approach methodology called a 2-in-the-box. So with this 2-in-the-box methodology, and what it means is that per function department, we assign 2 subject matter experts, a BPL or business process lead and a BPP or business process person. Sometimes people refer to them as a SME or a subject matter expert, to help support the core team in all these type of testing requirements. This approach allows us to combine the experience of business commercial owner of the functional department or the BPL with the technical experience, the BPP, from within the same functional department. For us, we adopt this approach as it's impossible for my team as a core Workday team to have the same in-depth knowledge, for each functional area, with the teams living and breathing, those each functions day in and day out. They are more of the experts. So we really rely on them.
This is a super interesting approach, Derek, that I've not heard before. So I was wondering if we could look at how you adopt this approach now into practice during the preview window for everyone.
Sure, Ian, more than happy to. So the Workday team consists of 4 core team members, which includes myself. And then we're supported by a total of 6 two-in-the-box team members. As you can see from the diagram here, we've outlined, which is super important, of how far things, reach out and how we need to support. We are a family, and we're helping each other out through each of these modules. And the two-in-the-box, it's important that, each of the members of this two-in-box, they are the subject experts. And they know the nuances of the systems, for their areas, because they're doing it day in and day out. And they also are very familiar with the laws and the regulations. For those of us that are in the United States, I always love to bring out the great state of California. Constant laws are always changing. So it's very important, that we adhere to those. And, for example, here, like I pointed out for the state of California on January 1st, not just state of California, state of New York, et cetera, we had, certain publicly disclosures for pay ranges that had to happen for our recruiting team. So, we engaged with them to make sure that we could get that into production. And as mentioned, the BPL is the commercial owner of the function. So normally at a director level, for our organization, and they help provide, that 30,000 foot, level direction for the function, that is required. Now, whereas you have the BPP, they are the senior team leader or the senior expert, the person that's probably been there the longest, knows all the ins and outs. They're living and breathing the processes every single day, and they really know how that function works. This sort of detail is, for my team of core, we can't keep up on everything. It's a team of 4, including myself, like I mentioned. So we rely very heavily on the BPL and BPPs, on their experience, sharing sort of that workload to, be successful to navigate, through the preview window. And one of the true benefits of having this structure, I would say, Ian, is that we find that we keep, ourselves on track, regarding, the project and the agreed timelines. And it's not just through the preview window. We use this, all year long. And everybody knows their roles and, the transparency. So we always want to make sure that nothing ever is left to chance.
Definitely a well thought through structure there and an approach, Derek, which is fab. So if we were to take it a step further, because you just mentioned about keeping your project on track, keeping the momentum going, etc. I was wondering if we could share with everyone your critical milestones and how you put your project of activities together.
Sure, more than happy to. So Ian, I will have to say the entire process, with us, it is a partnership. The two-in-the-box approach, is internally across multiple teams, multiple functions. And this is also with our external partners like you with Kainos, making sure that, it's a partnership with any of the scripting that we do. As you can see here, we've listed out the plan for the upcoming preview window that has actually already started prior to Christmas. You can see December 15th, was our kickoff meeting that we had. And, this is circa 7 weeks out. So, the earlier the approach, this allows us to carry out checks, in this instance for year end, and to discuss our planning and prep that includes our teams of those two-in-the-box. As we move forward, we've got, this Friday, January 27th, the team will sit down and reflect on the new functions and the features of what is, I always like to use Workday's terms when you say the automatically available versus setup required. That's always in there, what new. And this allows, where we can check of what Workday is developing, what's in progress, and what is scheduled to go live. Going into next week, January 30th, we'll go ahead and, sit down and start looking at test plans, scheduling out what we need to complete during this testing window. We are very involved with Kainos at this time. We start doing our comparisons for our preview tenant to our production tenant. And, we have all of those smart test scripts that are running, thousands and thousands of tests that are going through that are delivered to us. And this is critically important to understand that what will be delivered to us. And, as we formulate our other tasks and our other things that are transpiring day in and day out, along with anything that we may be doing in terms of, making some updates to our regular BPs. Business is business. We have to keep things fluid and moving. Now, as we go into our next timeline for our February 4th, this is the big day. This is, Kainos provides us the regression based test results, and and we're thankful for them. I can't tell you how much Kainos has saved me. In the past, I've used Kainos just with Western Alliance. I've used it with other companies, and just that whole proxying in and out, back and forth. And I have to make a call out. I have a nice support, Cole at Kainos. He is great. He keeps it on track. He really calls out everything, and just provides us, if there's an immediate error, any glitches, we're able to jump right in. We're able to fix it. And that gives us enough time. And again, as we continue through our timeline, February 27th, for up and coming preview window, this is an approach that we take that not all companies do. We do what's called a lockout. We lock out our sandbox and our production tenants so that no processes can be updated. So anything that needs to go into production, we get into production by the 27th of February. And Kainos also still through this time, they're, providing, us a walkthrough of any of those new features, and it keeps us on our toes. It really does. It just is very helpful, so any of those updates that we may have put in, but once we've done that lock, we don't do anything else. And then of course, it comes down to the big day. In this case, for the R1, it is set for March 11th this year. And that's deployment day. That's all hands on deck. Once again, Smart Test is there. It's on hand, scripts are running, just checking, running through multiple tests, hiring, terminating, no matter what it is, it's checking for any of those last minute errors. In addition, we'll conduct some manual checks. We're running payroll processes, we'll just check some quick anomalies, what if scenarios that we go through. And, as you can see, we do have that we're doing our weekly stand-ups through this whole time, meeting with our BPLs, our BPPs, and my team functionally, looking at everything, being in close communication. And we keep our tenants locked out until the 20th of March. And for us, that, allows us for continuing testing, anything that we may not have missed, that we need to catch up. And then once we feel that we're ultimately comfortable, we go ahead and we unlock everything on the 20th, and business is kind of back to normal for the most part.
Lovely, clear and concise structure there to your testing program, Derek, and definitely feels like a great top tip for everyone there to lock your tenants to avoid any post-deployment complications, etc. So with your team being in the thick of the action, you're doing all your tests. Here you have 6 principles that you and the team like to stand by and follow in order to deliver success. So it'd be great if we could share those now for everyone on the call.
Sure, more than happy to, Ian. So it is correct. We do have 6 principles. Over the years, these definitely are my go-to. Again, I've brought this from other companies that I've worked for, just to basically keep us, keep that project on track. And I really use this during the release window. And as we go through these, you can see review, we're seeing the needs to actually happen. Does it need to be implemented, during the release window, or is it something that we can just put on the roadmap? That's a nice to have later. Do remember, not every feature has to be tested. There's thousands upon thousands of features always being delivered by Workday. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but it's okay. You can put it on the back burner. Your timeline, there's so much to do. They always say, so much to do, so little time, not enough people to do it. And then, of course, regression tests. This is super important. We are lucky, again, with Kainos to do that regression testing. You're testing the tenants back to back from the production to preview. And this provides us a baseline that identifies any immediate issues to investigate of, that may have been manual investigations that would have been required and taken up hundreds and countless of hours to go through. And we do our weekly stand-ups, just as I mentioned earlier. Weekly stand-ups, we go through, how's it going? How are things looking? What has been provided? What are any of the shortfalls? What is it that is going on? And it's not just between my team, it's between all of our functional areas as well. So what is it that we can do? And by using that two in the box methodology, with those weekly stand-ups, we're hearing back the feedback, because it's not just my team looking at all of these new features and doing testing. It is also, those functional experts going through. And record and document your findings. We utilize the Workday Adoption Planner. This is free. It is delivered by Workday. It is wonderful for your what's new. You can actually download off of the what's new right into your adoption planner and go ahead and put everything in. And it's really useful during the preview window. And that allows us to say, we're not going to adopt it. We put it on the roadmap. We put it on the back burner, and, lastly, clear communications. That's the number one philosophy. Be transparent. Transparency is always key, and over communicating is okay. You always want to over communicate whenever possible. For us, by utilizing these principles, we're setting ourselves up for, success.
These are really great principles, Derek. Thank you. I can certainly imagine how they use to formulate your strong framework for your project plans. So just thinking about this then, so your preparation's done, your two in a box teams are there and ready, you've done your timeline with your project planner, your testing is done, deployment all complete. Is it time to sit back, pop the champagne and take it easy?
You're funny. No, not ever. You never can just sit back and take it easy.
Just joking aside then, but so on a serious note for everyone, let's round this out. What does post-deployment look like for you and the team? How do you tackle that? Really
important. We have a number of tasks that we work through. Communications are vitally important. Especially once we go live. So I'm thankful to, enlist a lot of our internal communications departments. I have, a communications person that is actually on my team. She is absolutely wonderful. She makes sure that things are nice in check and the appropriate audiences get that delivery of what they need to be informed of. We also ensure to have a process of feedbacking any issues, users may experience. Again, nothing's ever perfect. You're going to run into, some of those blips in the road. But, we're right there. We get that feedback. We can go ahead and fix anything that may have been missed, because you're always going to miss something, no matter how hard you try. Ensuring all supporting materials are updated. This is anything from your job aids to screenshots to URL links that may be on internal websites. People forget about that. Training documents. That's very, very crucial. And that's what, my team and then with our two in a box look for to update. And lastly, we want to make sure to update our IT partners. Some people forget about that. And it's very important. You have your integrations that are firing. that are going to other maybe systems within your company. It's very important to, keep them engaged on what's been deployed, so they're aware of what's going on, what changes may have come down.
I mean, perhaps sometimes it can be forgotten, just, that post-deployment bit, but here we're really loud and clear there from you, Derek, the importance of communication. So thanks for highlighting that and your processes that you do through that exercise. So, just before I let you take a break, I know that, you and the team have one golden rule, for the entire preview cycle. So I'd love for you just to share that for everyone.
One golden rule: always, always, always regression test, and never rush anything. If you think you've tested everything, you probably haven't. So always go through and retest. Don't rush something, as this is a 5-week window. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you rush something, you're going to miss something. So just take it easy and just remember, always regression test.
Wonderful sentiment there, Derek. Your golden rule. Absolutely love it. And again, really insightful listening to your strategy there and your project planning. Some of the bits that resonated there for me were, the preparation window actually starting 7 weeks out, and you've been doing your prep already since pre-Christmas. Locking your tenants to avoid testing inaccuracies. The fantastic 2-in-a-box methodology there with your BBPs and your BPLs. We've already had some questions coming about those that we can answer at the end. And then your 6 principles during your testing window. Really fascinating tips, which I hope can really be transferred for the audience across any industry or organization size. So really something there for everyone. Time for me to bring Katie into the discussion. So welcome again, Katie. So in addition to Derek's approach, would you be so kind to talk us through how Kainos works with our clients, and what do we advise as structure and towards the preview window for everyone?
I'm sure there'll be no surprises to say that Kainos will always recommend an automated approach to testing. The sheer quantity and quality of testing that can be performed by Smart Test really does help with the speed and the consistency, along with peace of mind for our clients, which we've heard Derek touch upon. And I just want to take a moment as a reminder of why testing is so important with what happens when the preview window starts. Workday will update your sandbox and preview tenant in preparation for testing. At this point, a direct copy of your production configuration will be sent to both tenants. Your organization's data will be synchronized across your sandbox and preview tenants. Importantly, though, at this point, both production and sandbox will share the same code base. But your preview tenant, however, will feature the upcoming new Workday 2023R1 release features, which is on a different code base. And this will obviously become your main focus of testing during the release window.
So just on that note of testing, Katie, what do we then recommend our clients in terms of what to do and when?
First, let's just note the 2 tenants, sandbox and preview. With the benefit of both tenants being synchronized in week 1 with the automatic refresh, you can compare the outputs and results in terms of integration, reports, and payroll in Sandbox with Preview. As Derek mentioned earlier, this is done with ease with Smart Test, and it is a fundamental feature to do the side-by-side comparison of these 2 tenants and compare the results and outputs automatically. Smart Test will be scheduled for Sunday, the 5th of February for Workday 2023R1. So on Monday morning, our clients have the test results and can note any differences first thing. Just to note for everyone that this approach is still recommended without automation too. For example, running payroll calculations manually on both tenants and do a comparison on the bottom line outputs will show up any differences. And because only the code is different in preview, any anomalies will be due to the new version of Workday. Very powerful. But you need to get in early to do these comparisons before anyone else accesses and potentially changes any data in Sandbox or Preview. Once you have the comparison test completed, we recommend to focus on your high priority business processes and security in your preview environment to make sure they work as expected. Our Smart Test customers use automation for this, but if you don't, then do use some of the top tips from Derek to help you prioritize and plan your testing getting your team together. Week 2 to 4, with the assumption that preview is not refreshing, our smart test customers focus on sandbox regression testing, just to make sure production is okay, while also running security tests and checking integration tests still run in preview with no issues. With the speed of smart test automation, this effort is around an hour a week for our customers to triage any findings. This means our customers have all that extra time to experiment and try out the new Workday optional features. Also, another thing to note is that Workday will be releasing fixes and minor changes during the preview window, so we do recommend testing on both sandbox and preview. If you're testing manually, then use weeks 2 to 4 to focus on completing the rest of your tests. Week 5 then, really important tip from our team here is to request another preview tenant refresh from production. By default, Workday will only provide this refresh in week 1, so put your request into Workday to get another refresh the weekend before week 5 starts. So that would be Saturday, the 2nd of March for this up and coming preview window. Why is this important? Well, it's to make sure you get a final chance to test your latest production data and any business as usual changes that you've had to make in weeks 1 to 4 against the new version of Workday before it goes live. So week 5 then, with the 2 tenants in sync again, you can run your tenant-to-tenant tests again on reports, payroll, and integrations. This being the same approach as week 1.
Fantastic advice there, Katie. And I think the real top tip was to request that Workday extra preview refresh for week 5. So in terms of what to test, because we've done the plan there, what guidance do we provide to our clients?
First priority should be to focus testing efforts on your high risk or high impact business as usual functionality. Payroll is a great example, as everyone really wants to avoid employees not being paid. So any integrations or business processes associated with payroll should be prioritized for testing, either manually or via automation. 100% always plan and list those most important high-risk business processes to test first. Next up is third-party integrations. Whilst you might be using Workday for a wide range of business activities, you'll still have integrations that take data from Workday and feed them to third parties. It's vital that you test your key inbound and outbound integrations to ensure that they will continue to receive and deliver the correct data once the new code base is moved to production servers. Lastly, mandatory features. As we've heard from Derek, it's hard and almost impossible to test everything. So it might sound a little obvious, but focusing your efforts on the new Workday features or functionality that are switched on automatically and are mandatory following the 5-week preview window should be tested as a priority based on their impact to your business and configuration. As Derek has said, naturally there'll be plenty of time post-deployment to investigate the adoption of new optional features and regression tests without the time-bound pressures of preview. And lastly, a good model to structure your testing is the 4 W's. The what, which is the testing plan scope, the when, which is the timing schedule, the where, which tenants, and who, assigning team members and SMEs. By using this framework, it means that you can be clear and agree actions and responsibilities with your key stakeholders and SMEs.
Love this clean and concise checklist, Katie. Really extremely useful for everywhere. So I was just wondering, I asked Derek earlier, and I think it's only fair that I ask you too, but with all the advice that you've given out today, what would be your golden rule and the team that you provide to our clients?
Well, everyone, we categorically say to our clients, always refresh and retest in week 5. As I just explained, this is easily achievable with smart tests. So for those fully manually testing, retest as late in the preview window as possible. Because as we've been discussing, with so many changes that can happen during the 5-week window, our minimum recommendation is to ensure you want to test that your most up-to-date production configuration will work as expected in the latest version of the new update before the go live. Ideally, you want to refresh and retest as many weeks as feasible within the preview window. But again, a minimum week 1 for your baseline and errors, and then week 5 to include all the changes are paramount for confidence just before deployment.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Katie, for taking us through that and providing all of that great guidance. I know it's already helping, our Kainos clients globally, so no doubt it will also prove really helpful and useful to everyone listening on the webinar today. So Derek and Katie have shared some amazing project plans and testing approaches for you to consider. But now let's jump in and take a look at some of the new features published on the Workday consideration list at the moment that most of you will be testing in a few weeks' time. So we've had a good look through. The list at the moment is containing 123 items. Across the 6 different themes. There's 46 features that are all automatically available for everyone, and 76 features at the moment that require some optional setup. So going through the list, we've had a good look through the team here, and we've come up with these 12 on screen. And first off, I was going to ask Katie if you'd be so great to pick out 1 or 2 of the mandatory features, and maybe one optional one that really jumped out to you.
Of course, Ian. So mandatory features highlighted here in green. The credit adjustments for customer invoice amounts is where Workday will automatically create a credit adjustment from the customer contract when the associated customer invoice results in a negative amount due. This will be beneficial as it eliminates the need to manually process installments and offset transactions that result in negative invoices. Another one to call out is Workday continues to enhance journal insights functionality by providing anomaly detection by individual journal line amounts. What this means is if a journal line debit or credit amount is abnormally high or low based on historical patterns, Workday will flag the journal line as an anomaly, enabling you to make a more informed decision to correct, confirm, or dismiss the anomaly. We can see the optional features here colored in orange. One just to point out is the new business process for ad hoc project transactions. This will improve accuracy on your projects and reduce rework.
Brilliant. And Derek, I was wondering if you'd had time to have a good look through, and what excited you from the list?
Well, I will say the one thing that we are very interested in is creating job requisitions for multi-existing positions. Currently today, you have where, if it's a replacement, you can only do a single position. Now, Workday is actually releasing a nice new feature, which is going to allow you to have a brand new position plus a replacement, and you can do that within the same requisition without having to open multi-requisition. So we're really looking forward to that. It's going to be some, manual setup, but it's going to reduce so much of extra requisitions that we have to set up today.
Thank you for that. Definitely some very interesting features there, and many more that we haven't had time to cover today, but certainly exciting to see what the final list will be once it's published later this week on Friday. So not long to wait for, everyone. So with so much amazing content that we've covered today, we've compiled a little bit of top tips for you all as a little bit of a recap. So Derek, I was wondering if you could quickly run us through some of the top tips for the audience.
Sure, I'm more than happy to, Ian. So when it comes down to top tips, I always look at the before. Before the release, do prepare, as the best that you can. As we've talked about throughout today's presentation, prioritize between what's mandatory, between what's optional that you need to test. And, assemble your team. Make sure you have the right people, the right parties, because a lot of times people forget to include certain members, and that can come back, to kind of bite you in the end. And always have a project plan. Clearly set it out, communicate, and make sure that everybody follows, to that plan. Secondly, it's during the preview window. So during the preview window, regression testing, as I've already mentioned, is key. Top tip here is to make sure in week 1 that everything should be working. Is it still working across both tenants, your production tenant and your preview tenant? Follow your prioritization list of, those high risk processes. Katie mentioned earlier about your payroll, your integrations. Those are things you should look at first. And again, Kainos is a big help for that, to go through and test, so always look at those high risk prioritizations. And then afterwards, in your post deployment, what is about, it's basically your sanity check, looking at your sandbox, making sure everything looks good, that you've, again, regression test, look at everything. You're still running through multiple scripts, and a clear communication, to everybody that's a stakeholder, all the users of the business. Think of the employees, the managers, your members of IT. It doesn't matter. Just over communication is always better than under communication.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for that, Derek. And Katie, I hear some of our clients have been sending in some of their top tips for sharing with everyone too.
We had 2 clients call out that tenant-to-tenant testing as critical. And for lifetime fitness, this is so important for payroll, as this is where Smart Test can compare either 30,000 employees' pay results across Sandbox and Preview and flag any differences. They also emphasize the importance of involving the payroll specialists and end users in analyzing those results. And just as Derek has been talking about today, plan ahead, involve key stakeholders, review and communication is the key to success for the team at a multinational financial services company. And very kindly, a leading global stockbroker has suggested to use Smart Test, which is obviously great to hear.
Oh, that is very nice. Thanks for those, Katie. And we couldn't have a top tips or a recap without the mention of the Workday community. So whether you are new or a seasoned pro to the Workday community, it is an immense repository of information. And so what we've done is put 3 of our key areas together for you. So the release prep center, obviously for more planning and schedule information, there's loads contained in there. The strategy roadmap section, that lists out all of the forthcoming new features and information. And then the Workday Adoption Planner. If you are looking for a new tool to help you in project planning or recording, then the Adoption Planner is there for you as well. So definitely do go and check those out. And just before we head into the Q&A section, because we are fast approaching there, I just did want to send out one quick update really and say that we have mentioned Smart Test quite a bit today. We're not doing a demo, but if you would like to find out more on how our award-winning automated test solution helps over our 300 customers, and you want a demo to see how it can help you, then please do reach out. The QR code is on screen, so you can zap that, or in a short while I'll pop in into the link, a web chat there for you to be able to click through to. And also, if any of you wanted some additional help on any of the test project planning and management, then our test services team are available to help as well. Again, you can book via using the QR code or the link. But please, on that one, time is getting tight for the team, so don't delay in reaching out to those colleagues if you would like some help and advice there. So definitely time we got stuck into some questions. Thanks for all of those being raised. Derek, I'll start with you with one that's come in from the chat just a moment ago, which was with your BPLs and your BBPs. Do they are they just functional, or do they cover across countries if the organization was global?
So with that, we only operate within the continental United States. So I will say that we do expect our BPLs and BPPs to actually be knowledgeable for the state laws that go through the United States, and would be able to be covered, across the board, because they are the subject matter experts for the modules in the areas that they do support.
Brilliant, thank you for that. And just sticking with you for a moment, Derek, one of the questions we had during registrations was just to talk about how big the testing should be for the preview window. So you've talked about your 2-in-a-box, etc. Do you have any help or advice there on how big the testing team should be?
Well, that really depends on your team, your department, with your company and your needs. I wouldn't say that there is a given, you should have, this amount or quantify these amount of people, but it really depends. I would always recommend, that with the help from your SMEs, you want to make sure that you have the amount of experience, that is expected, by the 2-in-the-box methodology. But for, just again, depending on that size of the organization, you may need 2, or you may need 20. You could be Walt Disney World and have, hundreds of thousands, of employees. So it really just depends. And, and if people resourcing is a big issue, then I would recommending, always use testing. Again, I use it all the time for Smart Test. That's a huge recommendation. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of that manual effort. It speeds up, a lot of that regression testing. I hate to, beat a dead horse here, but it's going to be about payroll integrations, test those important things. When you have Smart Test, it really, takes that pain and that worry out of making sure that everything's going to be there, especially if you're a very slim team.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for those kind words, Derek, about Smart Test. Thank you. Katie, got one for you actually, with for your expertise here, which is, what aspects and modules does Smart Test cover? So yeah, just wondering if you could give us a quick overview on that.
So Ian, Smart Test can automate across a range of areas and key functionality. Too many to fully list in the short amount of time we have left. But, just to go through some examples for the likes of HEM, we've got your core HEM, your, hire processes, change job, your absence, your, compensation. We've got eligibility testing that actually covers compensation, benefits, absence. We've got recruitment, advanced compensation for financials. We've got, your business processes test. We've got the account posting rules testing, custom validation testing. For payroll, we've got the pay component testing, the eligibility and calculations. Again, we've also got the tenant-to-tenant payroll packs that we've chatted about earlier that come into play in the preview window. Similarly, with integrations, we've got those tenant-to-tenant comparison packs, as well as the weekly integration packs that we can run. Again, similarly, report comparison packs as well. And last but most certainly not least, we've got security testing.
Brilliant. Thank you there, Katie. That was a very quick run through. Derek, we've had another question raised that in terms of would you recommend setting up a document planner in Workday? Now, I might know a little bit that you do use this, so it's a perfect question for you. So glad that one's been raised.
No, absolutely. And here's the thing. Again, Adoption Planner is free. And it's quite easy to set up. I would say once I got everything set up, it took maybe 3-4 hours tops. But it's a great tool. It can help you understand, your usage at a transactional level. And it's easy. It identifies the features that you may wish to adopt. Again, like I said earlier, you can actually take the actual what's new list, and it just downloads right into Adoption Planner. It comes with all the URLs, all the setup, all of the material that you could possibly need. So it is quite easy. And again, for anything that's going through, and it's not just for the release cycle, it's also, we have releases through Workday. You have what's called the R1 Plus, the R2 Plus. We're all familiar with it. Workday drops things on Fridays. For additional items, you can constantly add those things into the Adoption Planner, and you can actually ad hoc to add things into your Adoption Planner. So if it's a specific project that you're working on for your organization, you can customize it and you can load it in to track things, on your roadmap. And it helps, divide and conquer, and it's good time management, and it keeps everybody on track.
And lastly, it's down to me to say thank you to all of you for listening today. We all really hope that you found the session insightful. We've heard from Derek on his two-in-a-box methodology, the importance of regression testing, his 6 principles for successful testing during the preview window. So we hope you can use some of those for yourselves. And then from Katie, her 5-week temp plan, how to prioritize the high-risk features, and then the 4 Ws framework to build out your project plan. So again, we really hope that those could be useful for you. So some really fantastic topics shared, details from both our panelists. So a huge thank you to both Derek and Katie. I'd also love just to give a little quick thank you to those in the background as well, who's helped make the webinar possible today for everyone. And finally, good luck. Good luck for everyone going into the preview window. We really wish you all the very best. We look forward to seeing you and talking to you again on the forthcoming webinars really soon. But in the meantime, thank you, goodbye, and good luck.